Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief, so help you God?
I do.
He was perfectly clear about that. Back in those days, in fact, lots of people on that side of the aisle, including my good friend, the chairman, denounced the violence that took place on January 6th. The cat's got their tongue these days. My friend Chairman Jordan said, what happened last week was terrible, was tragic. It's as wrong can be, he said. Republicans, we know all political violence is wrong. I asked my friend Chairman Jordan at a rules hearing, are you also not interested in what happened to us on January 6th? He said, of course, everyone's interested in holding people accountable who did wrong. The FBI is doing that. The Justice Department is doing that, appropriately so. What do you think about the attack on the Department of Justice and the special counsel for doing your jobs?
I think the attack is unjustified. I think the people who worked with me as career public servants are people, they're part of the reason I've been a prosecutor for so long, is to work with people like that, not just the prosecutors in my office, but also the agents, FBI agents who are heroes, who have served their country not only as agents, but also overseas. I think those attacks are unwarranted based on the facts, and I think that they have no basis in who we are as Americans, as a country. I don't see attacking people like that as anything appropriate.
So you were first approached about special counsel and that role before the 22 midterm elections. And according to the deposition transcript in October of 2022, you fly to DC, meet with the AG and the Deputy Attorney General. Is that correct?
Yes, I flew to DC, I believe it was in October, and I met the Deputy Attorney General, and also I met the Attorney General.
So in multiple conversations with your friend Marshall Miller, he never once tipped you off that the Attorney General or Deputy Attorney General have you on the short list for special counsel?
Again, this was some time ago, but my recollection is I came to Washington and I met with those individuals as well as the Human Rights section. Marshall Miller is the person who set that up.
So he was at the meetings. Was he at the meetings? You've known Mr. Miller since you were both AUSA in New York. You stayed in touch over a 20-year career in federal government. He gets a job with the Biden administration, and just a few short months later, you're offered the role of special counsel. I'm having a hard time believing that this is some big coincidence and that there wasn't a back and forth on the special counsel. So maybe you never received directives explicitly from the AG or the Deputy Attorney General, but was Marshall Miller, did he become a two-way conduit throughout the investigation with DOJ?
No, and I would not take direction from a political person, a political figure, about how I should conduct an investigation.
But you never spoke to him throughout the entire time you were conducting an investigation?
No, I didn't say that. What I said was that he was, I think you asked if he was a conduit of information. He was present, to my recollection, at meetings, briefings that I had with the Attorney General and Deputy Attorney General during my time as special counsel.
And did your investigation uncover evidence sufficient to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Donald Trump publicly claimed that the 2020 election was stolen from him, while he privately acknowledged that he had lost the election?
Yes, we cited instances of that during in our case.
But yet here we see that on the 5th anniversary of the insurrection, the Trump White House propaganda machine is still promoting the stolen election theory on this government webpage with a text box titled, quote, fraudulent election, stolen election certified, end quote. The site also has a subsection reading in part, quote, FBI entrapment operation exposed. Mr. Smith, did your investigation develop any evidence to support the allegation that the FBI entrapped insurrectionists into committing crimes on January 6th?
Our investigation revealed that Donald Trump is the person who caused January 6th, that it was foreseeable to him, and that he sought to exploit the violence.
These guys, my Republican colleagues, are a joke. They're wrong. History will harshly judge them, so I want you to lean in today. And these guys are so lucky they're not under oath, because they would have to tell you what they really think of Trump. They call him crooked. They call him cruel. They call him a scumbag. I've heard you all say it. You're lucky you're not under Trump, but when the lights go on and the cameras are on, you're tiny, you're small, you shrink. Everyone remembers Matt Gaetz coming over here after a committee hearing. He would laugh at how stupid he thought Trump was. This is all a show. And Mr. Smith, you're just the latest act that they've brought in. But they can't erase what happened on January 6th because we saw it with our own eyes. Mr. Smith, after the mainstream media called the race for Biden about a week after the election, did Donald Trump concede the election?
He did not.
The next month, the Electoral College met in every state and voted Biden as the winner. Did Donald Trump concede then?
He did not.
Shortly after that, the last court case that Donald Trump brought was thrown out. Did he concede then?
No.
Is it your judgment then that only Donald Trump could have convened the mob in the size that it was assembled on January 6th?
Our assessment of the evidence is that he is the person most responsible for what happened on January 6th. He caused what happened. It was foreseeable to him. And then when it happened, he tried to exploit it in furtherance of the conspiracy.
Did you have any evidence that President Trump's statements about the cases against him intimidated witnesses or prevented them from coming forward?
I had evidence that he said, if you come after me, I'm coming after you. He suggested a witness should be put to death. The courts found that those sort of statements not only deter witnesses who've come forward, they deter witnesses who've yet to come forward.
But you weren't able to identify a single witness who didn't come forward because they were intimidated by President Trump.
We had extremely thorough evidence that his statements were having an effect on the proceedings that is not permitted in any court of law in the United States.
Don't you think it's a pretty low bar to clear if you're trying to silence a candidate for president? I mean, if you can't identify a single witness who's intimidated, that maybe you should reconsider the gag order?
Both courts upheld the orders, and it is not incumbent on a prosecutor to wait until someone gets killed before they move for an order to protect the proceedings.
This gentleman is the gold standard for prosecution here in the United States. So think about it. We had a witch hunt done by the IRS going after Second Amendment groups, unanimously overturned by the Supreme Court, prosecuted two prominent political figures, and they ended up as mistrials. I would just say this, Mr. Chairman. If Mr. Smith ever works for the Department of Justice again, I would recommend a remedial course on the First Amendment to the Constitution. Is there any historical precedent for an alternate slate of electors to be sent to Congress? Has that ever happened before?
That had happened, not anything similar to this situation, but you're correct. It was in Hawaii. I think it was Hawaii in, I want to say the 1960 election.
So it has happened before that there was an alternate slate of electors that was sent to Congress, which does the electoral count, correct?
There was a prior time that an electoral slate was sent where there was litigation and recounts going on.
Actually, there's twice that it happened, Mr. Chairman. It happened in 1876 and 1960.
After a report of rioters who have said that if Donald Trump had not convinced them that the election had been stolen, they might not have even come to Washington. I'm going to share some quotes from some of those rioters. I believed I was following up on the instructions of former President Trump, one rioter said about going to the Capitol. I marched to the U.S. Capitol because President Trump said to do so, another said. He personally asked for me to come that day, said another. Can you give us a few examples of Trump's rhetoric and language that inspired people to go to the Capitol believing that they were going on the president's direct order?
One instance I can recall is during the speech he gave to his supporters, and in context, his supporters, he told them to come to Washington, D.C. and be wild. He was on notice that they were angry, and he told that crowd, we can't let this happen. And he told them that, my recollection is multiple times, at a time when there was nothing that could be done to stop the outcome of the election but to obstruct it. He's saying that they need to fight if they want to save their country. There are, in fact, people in the crowd chanting, "Fight for Trump."
So when this was all going on, before, and I believe it was political, before there was an entire case and we went through the whole case, you pretty much declared, and I'm not going to read the whole thing through again, that President Trump was guilty. That wasn't your job. That's a judge's job. It's a jury's job. It's not your job. Don't you think that's unfair, that that's wrong, that didn't make the playing field level? Did it make people less trustworthy of the system? Yes or no?
No. When I announced the charges in the election case, I specifically stated that the case needed to be tried and that he had a right to go to trial and he was presumed innocent.
Your office secretly subpoenaed and got records of members of Congress, and you kept those subpoenas hidden through non-disclosure orders. That's wrong. They should have known. You want to do that, fine. It's wrong. Number one, it's wrong because people have a right. The American public has a right to know. The elected officials have a right to know. It's your right to subpoena them, but they should know. Secondly, and I brought this up before, not one Democrat, it's all Republicans, all Republicans. Everything you've ever done is always against Republicans. Do you think that puts more trust in the system when you're so partisan in that way? Yes or no?
No. Politics played no role in our investigation. I have prosecuted Republicans and Democrats throughout my career. I have dismissed cases against Republicans and Democrats.
Because you didn't have the proof.
Mr. Smith, let me ask you something. Does pardoning violent rioters who brutalize law enforcement officers, spray peppering them, tasering them, beating them up, kicking them, smashing them in door frames, make our country safer?
Absolutely not.
As a prosecutor, can you describe why these pardons make our communities less safe and undermine our criminal legal system more broadly?
The people who assaulted police officers and were convicted after trial, in my view, and I think in the view of the judges who sentenced them to prison, are dangers to their community. As you've mentioned, some of these people have already committed crimes against their communities again, and I think all of us, if we're reasonable, know that there's going to be more crimes committed by these people in the future. I do not understand why you would mass pardon people who assaulted police officers. I don't get it. I never will.
Let me be clear, because they're trying to act like this is Democrats on Republicans, and I guess you are a covert Democrat that knew that he was going to try to steal an election before he tried to steal that election, and so therefore you were somehow put into place. I mean, the conspiracy theories make your head spin, but nevertheless, were you going to subpoena the toll records of every single Republican simply because they were a Republican?
No, we subpoenaed the toll records in the course of this investigation because they were relevant to our investigation.
Relevant. Oh, okay. All right. So that means something about facts. So let's talk about facts. Donald Trump lost to Joe Biden, yes or no?
That's correct.